So, welcome to our office hour. If you are a paid person for tutoring, or you've paid for one of our classes on the Dean Tinney tutoring setmore.com, that unlocks free office hours for you. The office hour always is scheduled against a paid tutoring, so that means it may change without notice, and it's not kind of something that is always there for you. But if you go to the site, you'll find it. And today we have Erica and Ray joining us for the free office hour. Sometimes you get lucky, it could just be you, and then you get the whole hour to yourself, and that's a $225 value. So, if you're interested in that, it's capped at 5 people, first come, first serve. All right, so let's get the Series 7 QBank, and let's go over some Series Kaplan questions that you have. There's nothing better than the Kaplan QBank out there. If you don't have the Kaplan QBank as a paid supplement, I highly recommend it. With my Guru 10 discount code, you can get it at $58.50, $58.50. I think it's a very good investment. And for that commercial, Kaplan allows me to give you free look on Kaplan content like this. Okay, now that we've got the commercials out of the way, Ray, what's your first question QID number?
1283088.
088. Okay, one of your customers invests $20,000 in an oil and gas limited partnership program. So first thing, as a limited partner, you can only lose your original investment, right? And your original investment here is $20,000. Are we okay on that one?
Yes.
Okay? So now let's move on to the second sentence. So we want to, read a sentence at a time. We may not be right about where the question's heading, but every time I get a sentence, I kind of want to stop and process it and say, okay, what do I have here? I like to pretend it's me, by the way. So I like to say, okay, put 20 grand into this partnership. So I'm at risk for 20 grand. We definitely should know we have limited liquidity, that we can't get in or out without the GP's permission. So the K1 says she receives at year end. A partnership indicates operating revenues and expenses were exactly the same. Exactly the same. In addition, her share of the year's depletion allowance is $6,000. So depletion is not really a cash expense because it's to give you an incentive to go find a replacement barrel of oil and gas. So the depletion allowance is for a natural wasting resource like oil or gold. I mean, I don't know how many barrels are down there, but I do know this. If I pump a barrel and sell it, I got one less. If I have X thousands of ounces of gold, I don't know how much is down there. I know that if I sell an ounce, mine the ounce of gold and sell it, I got one less. And that's to give me an incentive to go find a replacement. All right, so that may have something to do with the question. It may not. Now, I would tell you all test prep vendors, including Kaplan, go total overboard on partnership practice questions. I call these legacy questions from the old Series 7 because nobody wants to, cull their QBank. I have a whole podcast episode on test prep vendors who will not cool their QBank for the new version of the 7. So you get this, you get like non-recourse notes, you get way more complicated partnership questions as practice questions than the actual exam itself. During the year, she received a cash distribution of 8. So $8,000 is a cash distribution. So we shouldn't be struggling with this idea that in a partnership, you start by getting a return of your capital. Most investments, you get a return on your capital, and then when you sell, you get a return of, right? If I buy 1,000 shares of Apple at 190 today, I get my dividend along the way, and the way I get back my capital is to sell the investment. But in partnerships, it starts by giving you back 8. We start by giving you back your money, and at some point, you're going to have a zero cost base. So we should have been able to get to 12 here pretty quickly, right? I put in 20, I got $8,000 back, so that's 12. And then it says my revenues and operating expenses were exactly the same. But then I have that depletion allowance, and it says that's 6. So the 12 minus the 6 gives me a cost base of $6,000. Did you remember, Ray? Did you say 12? 12 is not a bad miss. Is that what you said?
I did say 12.
Yeah, not a bad miss. That's kind of like with Erica on her multiple sometimes. She gets one of them, but not the other. All right, let's see what it says. She began with a basis of $20,000, her original investment. During the year, she received a distribution of 8. That lowered her basis to 12. We should have got there pretty quick. Sounds like you did. The depletion is a non-operating expense. Again, it's it's funny money. It's not real is the point, but that does bring your cost base down to 6. So that was a tough one. That was a tough one. Tough. All right. What's your next one?
And then real quick, you said there shouldn't be that many of those.
No,
tests.
I would think 2 or 3, if Erica's still with us, Erica's a victorious Series 7 test taker. She probably took her victory lap and doesn't remember anything on her 7 anymore. But I would say 2, 3, 4. Do you remember, Erica, how many partnership questions you had on your 7?
Couldn't tell you, Dean.
Yeah, well, that happens. I mean, it happens. People do their thing and they, can't remember anything. So I'm not surprised.
As soon as I saw a pass, I blanked out.
But anyways, I would say, Ray, what I would tell you is that I just had somebody in social media. I'm not sure where it was, a Reddit or somewhere. Maybe it was just an email to me, but they said they're going to spend the weekend, remediating on margin and options. I said, well, please, skip the margin, will you? Just do the options. Leave the, if necessary, guess be on the on margin and move on. I would say that same thing about partnerships. So, like margin, I think you can overdose on it really quickly. And there's more target-rich environments. Now, I didn't say don't know it. I'm just saying, if you tell me you missed the 7 because of margin or partnerships, I'm going to say, yeah, you have bigger problems elsewhere. So, all right, what's our next one? So 3, 4, max, I think. The other one that drives me nuts, just so you know, Ray, if it comes up, is they have this one about recourse note versus non-recourse note and how that affects your cost basis. Long story short, the recourse note adds to your basis. But again, I hate it because I haven't anybody on debrief in years tell me they had any questions about how a recourse note affects the cost basis in a partnership. So, sometimes, by the way, I'm throwing rocks at test prep vendors, including Kaplan, but Kaplan is less guilty than others of that. God knows, like Erica's been using Past Perfect for all her exams, and she'll send me questions, and sometimes I go, I don't even know what they're asking us. So, all right. So what's our next one?
1265509.
Okay. A customer entered an order to sell short 100 shares of ABC. So, most industries, I joke, if you sell things you don't own, it's called fraud, but not here. So the 2 positions you can have at a brokerage firm are a long or short position. And there is a locate requirement. I mean, I can't initiate that short sale until I'm able to borrow 100 shares of ABC. All short sales test question must be conducted in a margin account. The only exception to that is a short call on stock that you own. A covered call can be done in a cash account, but any other than that, you have to have a margin account. So I say, let me call stock loan and see, Ray, if somebody has, got 100 shares of ABC and has signed the loan consent form. Very testable. The loan consent form is optional. So I tell the customer, we have other customers who wish to sell short. Would it be okay to lend them your securities? And you say, well, Dean, it's not in my best interest. And I say, well, that's why it's optional. So, good news. I was able to borrow the stock. So we're going to get, well, it doesn't tell us what we got here. Oh, there we go. 48. So the stock closed Friday at 48. The stock will trade ex-dividend 50 on Monday. At what price can the order be executed? Now, there used to be what's called an uptick rule. And I don't know, Ray, if you missed this, based on what used to be called the uptick rule, we wouldn't let you sell short unless there was an uptick. But now we only enforce that rule when there's a limit up or limit down on the situation. So we can do this at any price. Now, if you miss this one, let me guess, if you missed this one, did you say 47.51? That would be an uptick, right? So that would be the good miss. Let's see what it says. The stock price is adjusted for the dividend. It's opening next morning. The adjustment does not affect the short sale can be executed. The former requirement, this drives me nuts, by the way. The guy who's in charge of this, I keep these QIDs, Ray, and I'm going to send him a note saying, why is this still in the Q bank when you're telling some formal things that they don't get tested on, right? So the former requirement was an uptick. I just told you that. And therefore you could do it at any time. Were you going for the uptick? Do you remember what you were struggling with on this one?
I believe I picked which one?
Yeah. So this is
actually just see.
Yeah, this is a gotcha question. Certainly, I think it's a gotcha question. What I mean by that is, maybe you didn't know this, but there's used to be an uptick rule, and so if I misinterpreted the question, I say, oh, they're trying to test me on the uptick. What's uptick? By the way, I would know as a trade higher than the previous trade. So what I mean by that is we would expect this to open up at, this price. And so anything higher than that would represent an uptick. So separate issue, but that's what's going on. Okay, so let's see. Boom. Gotcha. Question. Two tough ones. So I wouldn't feel bad about either one of these so far. Now, you said you were doing practice test scores. So are you in the 60+ range, I hope? Because, that's what.
Yeah, I'm swimming in the 60s.
Okay, we want to get you in
It's
those
just
70s.
frustrating.
Of course, you just got
Yeah.
to stick with it. I told you I give Erica kudos for being a grinder, man. She kept with it, and not every day was a good day for her. I know, because she would tell me in her scores. I said, keep at it. So you just got to stay resilient. All right, what's your next one? Any more?
So, actually, I think I had one more, but I can't find it.
Okay, well, we'll give you some time to find that. Let's see. Since we're on Kaplan, yeah, we do. The office hours aren't to do practice questions together, Eric, and I've been tutoring all day, and I got another tutoring session. So in a future office hour, I'm more than happy to do that. I'm not okay with that today, just because I got lots of stuff to do.
This is the end, Dean. I test on Friday.
Well, you're going to see me Thursday, aren't you, on the practice thing?
Is that another gotcha question?
Well, no, you got one more session with Brian and I. Maybe you want to. I mean, you should be doing your own practice questions, or
I know, but it's nice to hear you talk through them.
Well, that's people do that for tutoring with a shared screen. So. All right, you have I don't know if you watched it, but there's an entire 66 exam. What's her name? Oh, she was such a nice person. But anyways, you can watch her and I do an entire 66 exam together and talk about it. All right. Any others, Ray? Did you find your one?
Yeah, I have. I don't know if this was on the exam or a quiz, but it's
Okay.
14762.
62?
Yeah, 1476229.
29. Okay, let's see. So let's see if it comes up. Okay, there we go. So an investor purchased 200 shares of Hightown National Bank common stock at 120.06 per share. 13 months later, H&B pays a 15% stock dividend. So you should definitely know that that's not a taxable event. What you have to do is adjust your cost basis. So, we're going to take 200 shares, 200 times 120.06. Cost basis is simply when I turn the money into the investment. And so when I do that, I find out that what I spent to buy that 200 shares was $24,012. Do you see how I got that? I just took let me just put it on the screen here. I took 200 shares. By the way, with math, there's a lot of different ways to do things. So, there's a lot of ways to proceed. So let's see, 120.06, and that equals 24,000. And that's what we call my original cost base. Okay, so boom. And now I get a 15% stock dividend. So again, a lot of ways to do math. I'm going to take my 200 shares and I'm going to times it by 30% to see how many more shares I'm going to get. By the way, I'm getting 30% more, but so is everybody else. So very testable. No, there's been no effective change in ownership. So now I'm going to take 200 times 30%, and I find out that I'm going to get 60 new shares.
And it's 30% because it's 200 shares.
Well, no, well, I took 15. Well, my bad. Good news. I did that on purpose to see if you caught me. It should have been 200 shares times 15%. So,
okay.
Yeah, good news. You caught me where I messed that up. All right, so 200 shares times 15%. And that's going to be 30 additional shares. There we go, back on track. Okay, so now I have a total of 230 shares, right? The 200 I had plus the 30 additional shares. So now I have 230 shares. And remember, my original cost base here was $24,012. And now I'm going to divide that by my new position of 230 shares. And that gives me my adjusted cost base. I got more shares at a lower price. And I get 104.40. And now I sell it for 112.57. And that's called the sales proceeds. And this was called adjusted cost base. And so now I'm going to take that. 112.57, my sales proceeds minus my 104.40, and I get $8.17 per share. Times 230 shares. And hopefully that will be one of these answers. So 817 times 230 equals, it looks like Dean's got a little bit of a problem here. Let me try it again. $8.17 times 230. Am I missing something here? Let's see, 245 long term. I'm coming up. I would have missed this with D. Let me see what the rationale says here. So let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Oh my God. Listen, Ray, when we get an explanation like that, that's a Kaplan, Oh my God. All right. Well, let's see where Dean went.
My math was definitely off too.
Well, I got to tell you, well, it looks like my math was okay here, but let's check it out. The total value of the initial position is unchanged. Okay, we got that. We did that correctly. After the stock dividend, 230, we did that correctly. Therefore, the adjusted cost base is 104. We did that correctly. The question tells us that the investor sells those. Oh, there's where they got me. Dean didn't RTFQ.
Wow.
Yeah, see what they did to me, how they got me? They got me because I didn't see here that they say we only sold the shares that we received, the 30 shares. Right? Oh man, bastards.
Okay, so I messed up on the extra
Did you do the same thing
shares.
I did? That's what it was. So I
The
came up with,
first part and then the sell part.
yeah, I came up with this answer, but because I didn't pay attention and I thought we sold the entire 230 shares. So, okay, got me. So here's where they got us, right? They got us here where it says the 30 shares, right? Because they only sold the additional shares that they got. They sold these shares, those 30 shares. Oh, okay. Well, even Dean misses questions. Nobody gets 100. I do think by the way, I'm not being facetious when I say when you have a rationale that's long, that's kind of a hint that it's a gotcha question, right? Okay, so it says it's long-term because of 13 months. We knew that. It's important to remember that anytime there's a distribution resulting in additional shares, the cost base per share is reduced. More often than not, Ray, you can get this question right by knowing that you have more shares at a lower cost basis. If you have to guess and running out of time, when you see two identical numbers with the only difference being short or long, in almost all the questions, one of those is the correct answer. So what I call this, Ray, is the principle of mutual exclusion. Whenever you have two opposite answers, it's usually a 50-50. Like I say, Socrates is a dog. Socrates is a philosopher. He's either a philosopher or a dog. He can't be both. For example, if you get a convertible question, convertible bonds have higher coupons than non-convertible bonds. Choice A. Choice B, C. Convertible bonds have higher coupons. Well, it can't be both higher or lower or higher. It's got to be both. So that is a good test-taking trick, the 50-50. And then it says, now you have 50%. If you remember, the holding period always begins with the initial purchase. The odds are 100% in your favor. Well, okay. Pretty chatty for a Kaplan rationale, I would say. Pretty chatty. Any more? All right.
I'm putting some in the chat for you.
Okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay, let's go back to the Kaplan 66 cubic.
Oh, I have one more before you
Okay,
switch.
well, okay, let's do 7 first, Ray. This last 7. Okay, so what is it, Ray? Did you say you had another Series 7 one, Ray? Yes, no?
She's digging. I'm ready, Dean.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That was the last one. I'm
Oh,
being an
okay. So
idiot,
let's go get
sorry.
the 66 cubic. And let's see. So we got to get 66 cubic.
Dean, it's the third one. I gave you a test ID. It should have been the third one that you're looking
Okay.
at.
All right. All right. Hold on. Let me go get the 66 cubic. Okay. 157, or excuse me, 154, 9514. Question not found. Is this a midterm or something, or mastery
This
exam?
is a mastery. You can't view those?
No, the masteries are shielded because they don't want to compromise for vendors, for companies that pay, that it gets out. Can you cut and paste or share your screen on it?
You know what? I'll shoot you an email so you
Okay.
can see the. It
All
has
right.
the rationale too.
Okay.
I've never heard of a CFP, a CLU, a
Oh, well, misuse.
CFA.
Okay. Well, misuse of professional designation sounds like what the question's about, and that is testable. So, those are real ones. All those ones you gave me are real. But what you can't do, Erica, on your card is put Erica Taylor, comma, IAR.
Uh-huh.
That would be misuse. There's no such thing as an IAR. You could put underneath your card, assuming it's okay with your firm, Erica Taylor, investment advisor representative. Your firm can't put Gamma Global Investments, comma, RIA. We could put Gamma Global Investments, registered investment advisor. So professional it's called misuse of professional designations. By the way, then obviously you can't put one you don't have. So you can't put,
Right.
it amazes me how many people get caught like just making up stuff. So, needless to say, you can't put CFP there, and if you're not a CFP, but that's very testable. So cut and
Okay.
paste that one, and like I say, maybe I'll video explicate it. But if it's what I think it is testable.
Yeah, I just emailed it to you. You should
Okay.
have it now.
Let me see if I can get it from my email. Let's stop. I'm going to stop the video recording because I don't want people having the email. If you need to send me an email, the email is Dean, the Series 7 Guru at gmail.com.